Welcome to Life Alive Bible Study. I am so glad you decided to join us. This is the place where the word breathes new life. You know the spill. I'm D. Foster III. I am CEO and president of Wake Up Global Networks, and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We about to break it down. Listen, you know the spill. At the beginning, I asked you to share this. I asked you to put the link of this in your contacts. We're going to be dealing with some true, real stuff. I always say this is the place in space where we get it straight and no chaser. So if you like it like that, you are in the right place. I want to say go to our website for more information. That's www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com. I am so excited. I want to say thank you for those of you who watch us live. Thank you for those of you who watch the replay. Our numbers are going up only because I believe people are being blessed, people are being helped, people are being encouraged, and people are being prophetically directed in the direction of their destiny. And as I said in the beginning when we made covenant, that's why we are here, to be a prophetic voice, to prophetically direct us into a realignment with our destiny. All right, I'm giving you a chance. Let me hit one or two announcements. They will appear on the screen, but I'm doing this to give you a chance to connect with people, to put this in your contacts, to text people, tell them that Life Alive is live right now on this Thursday night. I hope you had a great week, and I'm excited, headed into the month of May, although sometimes it don't feel like it, but it is. Listen, I want you to be a part right here. We have so much content on Wake Up Global TV. We have the Voice of Hope Connection every Sunday morning. V is going to be greeting you as you arise, giving you a word of hope right here. The Voice of Hope Connection. It's an inspirational word to get your week kicked off in a positive mode. And then the Voice Over There podcast. If you're dealing, listen. Now, I have to put a disclaimer. Only Only if you deal with truth should you tune in to the Voice of Hope Connection. I'm doing part 3, and it'll probably upload. If it's not, it probably will real soon. That's why you need to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe. Come on, thumbs up, hit the hype button, hit everything so that you know when we drop brand new content. I'm doing a series on Jaden Ivey. I'm not going to even go into who he is. You can go back on our YouTube channel and locate it. I'm talking about opportunity or opposition. He goes on this religious rant, and I deal with it. I just go watch it. I'm on part number 3, opportunity or opposition with the NBA, Jason Ivey. Excuse me. Okay, so you can get all of that content. I discuss relevant current issues. Now, I was going to talk about, I'm still waiting for you. I'm getting ready to start. But again, this is how we do it to get into algorithms. I like you to share it. I like you to hit like. I want more of you to come in, invite people. The more live, the more we go out to the algorithms. So come on in, come on in. I want to say thank you for all of those of you that are sharing. I was thinking about, and I probably will on I've done some work on my Spreaker. You're interested in Spreaker? It's the Pluto Connection on Spreaker. The Pluto Connection, www.spreaker.com/the Pluto Connection. I've talked about the D4VD issue with Celeste Rivas. I thought real stuff, y'all. And I've talked about Ashley Simpson, the young lady, the influencer that was found, again, because of the YouTube, there's certain words that they are silenced or repress your video. That's why I have a Patreon where I can talk real and live. But the Ashley Simpson situation. So if you like all that content, it's on Spreaker, or you can go to our Patreon. Okay, all right. So the rest of the stuff will be announced. I want to say thank you again for watching and being a part of Life Alive Bible Study. You can get all of our information. Follow us on our social media platforms. All of that is on the website, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com. And at the beginning, I want to say thank you for those of you who sow a seed. And I'm encouraging you, if you are blessed, if this is planning, if you feel we are good ground and you're growing, then I encourage you to sow a seed. That information, how you can do that, is appearing on the screen also. I thank you, Father, for being big enough and global enough to meet each of us right where we are, to hear, to see, to wake up, to be revealed what our next steps are. In Jesus' name, so be it. All right, the wonderful thing, I say this every week about streaming, is that unlike when you are live and when we used to be live years ago, if you were teaching a series, you had to spend a lot of time going back. For those who weren't there, all I'm gonna say is hit the replay, right? But we moving forward. So we're in a series entitled Great Opportunities Often Precede Great Moves of Faith. And I have been led by Spirit to use the children of Israel in their journey in Egypt and coming out of Egypt as a prototype, but for our life and how we can avoid some of the things that they encountered because they were so comfortable that they didn't want to move. So I've been dealing with this. If you're here, I want to say thank you, welcome. Continue to let people know we're here each and every Thursday night. I've been dealing with this in bite-sized measures. The first part was when God makes you uncomfortable. And I talk about sometimes situations that arise in our path. A lot of times we want to claim it's demonic in nature. You know, that's where we go, and it's the devil. But a lot of times, time for us to move. And as human beings, it is easy for us to become comfortable, become settled. And sometimes the nest has to be stirred to say, okay, since you won't heed Spirit's signs, and that's one of the things I do in my Patreon. I talk to our tribe, especially those who I mentor, about the divine signs of God in the universe, that there are always particular signs that we are given. Now, whether we follow those signs or not, but when we don't, then the nest has to be good. Because as I want to reiterate, God, Spirit, is obligated to us fulfilling our destiny. If I live, which I won't, in transition and never fulfill destiny, it won't be me. It's not because the Spirit did not do everything in its power to get you there. It's because we refused to move in the direction and signals. See, that's another thing when it comes to moving by faith, moving into opportunity. There are divine, and maybe I'll talk about that before the series ends. There are always divine signals that Spirit will give. And most of the time, if I can say this, share this, y'all. If you haven't hit the like, hit the subscribe to the channel. Most of the times, human beings miss it because we are attuned to our environment more than we are attuned to our intuition. And part of being realigned with our soul's purpose, or what some call destiny, is being attuned to our intuition. In other words, I say like this: go within or do without. So there are always signs, but that's not what I want to highlight today. So we've been walking this journey. First part of this series, when God makes you uncomfortable. Second part, notice the subtle shifts. Last week, destiny versus comfort. And so this week, I want to focus on this process of being realigned with destiny, because if you listen to my intro, this was the whole birthing of what we have of life alive, being realigned with purpose and our soul's purpose and our destiny. And tonight, I want to talk about programmed for the promise. Programmed for the promise. And one of the reasons that Spirit led me to name it that is because realigning, and that's what all of life is about, because when we came here during that 9-month, I almost said, but that 9-month experience in our mother's womb, take or leave some earlier, that 9-month experience, we did something called forget. We were conceived. Follow me now. Follow me. I'm not trying to be deep. I'm trying to build a pattern. I'm trying to show you where we came from so that we can get back there. That's what born again experience is supposed to be, not just walking down an aisle, but remembering. So we came remembering when we were conceived, when we in my mother's womb, thou conceived. Oh God, you have been our dwelling place in all generations, right? Now remember, tonight is Program for the Promise, or a reprogramming. So I came, I was conceived as a seed. I've been with the Spirit. Psalms 90 is not a funeral passage. Thou has been our dwelling place in all generations. What have I been doing? Being with God, being with the Spirit, being programmed according to Ephesians chapter number 2, verse 10, from the foundations of the world. So I'm all packaged. I'm all ready to go. I have to take on this human flesh. Follow me. So I'm going through the digestion period through a woman. And through that 9-month period of time, something happens. I forget. So though I was programmed, that's why the Spirit gave me wake up. Wake up. What? Waking up to my original purpose, thoughts, concepts, destiny, direction. Awaken, sin not. So all of life is about remembering, programming, reprogramming. So I forget. I come through that dark period. I forget. And now, if I am aware, if I'm taught, if I understand it like that, which most of us didn't, my whole job now is awakening, remembering. That's why the Lord gave me wake up. Everything is waking up. This is what now get to the point of Program for Promise. This is why realigning with our original purpose for existence is a tedious, continual process. Why? Other than what I just described, how we come forgetting, and now we have the task of remembering. Once we're here, the task becomes moving in those particular times and spaces to get to destiny. Follow me. Like this, share this, get this up in the algorithms. To get us to destiny, because destiny is not arrived at. I want you to understand that. I walk into destiny one season at a time. I grow into destiny. I don't decide my destiny, my soul's purpose. I discover it. The more I wake up, the more I discover. The more I become aware, the more I discover. But that's seasoning. But here's the challenge once you get here. Jeremiah, God declares the end from the beginning, as I left off on last week. But the problem is, there's no explanation of the in between. God declares the end from the beginning, but he leaves out the in between. And for most people, like the Hebrews in Exodus, we've been reading about, it's the in between part of the journey that elevates average humans here. Why? Because we from birth have been programmed that we've got to know the next step in order to take it. And that is the direct opposite of how the spirit moves. And I showed you and told you last week, Abraham, leave all you know, leave your comfort zone, leave your father's house, leave Chaldees, and go to a place I will show you. I'm not showing you why you still in Chaldees. You're not going to have a trampoline all the time when you are flowing with spirit to jump from one level of comfort to another level of comfort. And it is in that in between, although God tells you from the beginning, you're going to end up in China. He doesn't tell you the road process in India, in China. And that's where most people, watch this. Did you share this yet? Did you like this? Did you subscribe to the channel yet? Because most people freeze in that in-between unknown phase, going towards realigning towards they want to be in destiny, but they don't want that in-between phase. That's where spirit is silent until you get there. No, Abram, I will not give you complete instructions while you are still in Ur of the Chaldeans. I will not make it plain while you're at the gate, out the exit, about to roll, but you need some more info till you roll. I'm going to make it clear. I'm telling you where you're going. You're going to inherit a land. Your lineage will be as numerous as I'm giving you the end. But you're going to have to walk and trust me. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? In the in between. And the issue is most people have been programmed to be able to Google, to be able to Waze what you don't know. And that's cool and convenient with AI in the natural. But it don't always go down like that with spiritual things. And that's where most people miss destiny. They don't miss destiny because they don't know destiny. They miss destiny because they don't want to move through the in between, because got to know. And that ain't, come on, how spiritual things work. Now, share this before I go any further. Invite people in here live. I know you can watch the replay, but if you can get in here live, there is a energy, there is a spirit that you get live. I'll always believe that because it's coming right now through the camera, through the lens, through the atmosphere, live. Replay good too. Replay good, but live is better. All right. So a barrier to being realigned once I come here is not only that I got to remember now because I forgot, but on a more practical level, I got to walk this in between thing. And can I tell you, most people don't get to destiny because they do not develop the courage or the faith to go into that uncertain dimension. Now, of course, after you know it's the spirit, and that's why I have said every class, it is key to get acquainted and develop relationship with the spirit. That will be many times the only method of making the next move is that you know God said it. Everything looks opposite. Everything looks contrary. People don't see it. People calling you crazy. People think you lost it. But I know God. I heard. My intuition was on the inside told me it's the right time to move. I know it don't look right. I know it don't feel right to you. It don't even feel right to me, to be honest. But I'm because I live from the inside out. I don't live from the outside. I live from the inside out. Outside is contrary. Outside is noise. Outside is opinions. Outside is what it looks like. But you can't go with it what it look like. You can't go by what it look like. You got to go by what it feel. And I'm not talking about natural emotional feelings. My intuition. What's speaking to me on the inside that you don't hear, that I'm hearing. And this is where most people abort their greatest moments, greatest opportunities, because they won't take that leap of in between faith. Now, let's talk practical. Why does God leave out? We can have answers. Ask the question, he'll give you the answer. Spirit will give you the answer. Why does the Spirit leave out the in-between process? Because the in-between, remember the title of this is Great Opportunities Often Precede Great Leaps of Faith. The in-between, the declaration, God declares the end from the beginning. He's just silent in the process in between. In the beginning, he tell you where you're going to end up at. You good with that. You rejoice over that. You talk that. You write it on your whiteboard. But most people never get there. And it ain't got nothing to do with God. It got something to do with the rising of their fear level when they get to that silent season of in between. That was Israel's problem. In between Egypt and Canaan, they was tripping hard. They was tripping hard. And I'm going to get to that in the next couple of weeks. We got plenty of time, y'all. I ain't going nowhere. We going to be right here every Thursday. Will you? The in-between. I can't, and I know this is going to sound contrary, I cannot put enough emphasis on the importance of the in-between, the declaration, your right, my right. You say what? I cannot, that is the make it or break. Announcing destiny, that's cool. Knowing your destiny, that's cool. But surviving and being willing to be thrust in that in-between season, that's a whole nother level. That's when you put on your big boy, big girl pants. When you say, I'm going in, I don't know where, I'm just know I'm supposed to take the next leap. And I'm doing it by faith because my intuition told me it's time to move out of this comfort level. Yes, there's a little anxiety. Yes, there's a little bit, let's be honest, break it down. There's a little bit, I'm shaking a little bit. I ain't gonna let you see me sweat, but I know what the Spirit's saying. Very few people make that move, let's be honest. Very few people make that move. And that process is valuable because he requires our faith and trust in his ability Or let me switch that or add to that. It requires faith and trust in your divinity. It requires spiritual development that you and I can get no other way than when we out there and we are forced, if you're going to survive, to live on the inside. That's faith. Not just talking your way through it, but when you are forced to get answers from within, you are forced to consult for divinity, when you are forced to hear Spirit's next move, there is nothing can grow and develop us like that move. And that's why you can tell people that's really live that. And you can tell people who just, okay, there's a substance when people have really lived in that in between. Real acts of faith, I want you to write this down, mentally or naturally. It'll be on the screen. Real acts of faith, like that, like Abraham, go to a place I'm going to tell you. You know what that's equated to? D. Foster 3, pick up everything you own and move to Kalamazoo and pick up everything you own. Get the truck ready or however you're going to move. And once you sell the house, sell the car, say goodbye. I'm leaving where? I don't know. Spirit just told me to go. This is Abraham. But this is how raw it is in real time. I don't know. Spirit told me to go. I done sold my house, sold my cars, my job, told everybody I'm gone. All right, I'm in the car or the plane. I'm on my way somewhere. I'm just going to start driving. I know it sounds crazy. I know. See, that's what I'm saying. I know how off that sounds. Spirit, now it's off if it's off an emotion or a strong desire. Then bless your heart. If you know that you have been ordered by Spirit to move, you end up in the right place. But in between, all right, I'm driving. I'm just driving. And I mean, it may be more organized than that, but I'm trying to give you a point why very few people make that move. Because our security, we've been programmed to have our security in tangibilities, in that spiritual. Let me say that again. We've been programmed to have our security. I'm secure because of my house. I'm secure because I got a job to do. I'm secure because I got people around me to love. Nothing wrong with those things, but I'm talking about in lines of destiny. Every now and then, when we are realigning with destiny, we will be pulled. Those things will be pulled from under us, not forever, but because to get to the next place, you have to go in that in-between season. And that in-between season, then it's not for the weak. Because most of trained for comfort. Even in our mother's womb, that's where we learned that. We were fed. We were provided for. We were protected 9 months. So a whole transition took place in those 9 months where we became dependent. We became comfortable. We became needy. And after the 9 months, we were never reprogrammed. We remained comfortable. We remained needing security. We remain needy. Right? If we're going to talk, let's talk. And so to say I'm on my way to Kalamazoo, I remember when the Spirit led me to go and move and do some work in New Orleans. And I had been in the DMV all of my life. And he was the first word people asked me when I told them I was moving. Do you know anybody there? Well, I happen to, but that's not the subject at hand. If the Spirit send you, remember, Paul, go into a city, and once you get there, see y'all, once you get there, I'm trying to tell you how Spirit moves. We've not been programmed to know how Spirit moves. We've been programmed to know how culture and environment and how people move. People move different than Spirit. And this is what I'm trying to share with you in this life alive. That if you're going to reach destiny, you got to know how Spirit moves. And Spirit will have you in that in between, because it's in that in between real acts of faith, real act of faith. Now, I'm halfway. I left a day ago. I'm headed in the direction of Kalamazoo, wherever that is. And at a rest stop, and I'm giving you a scenario, I hear the Spirit say, I want you to go to Kalamazoo. And I want you, when you get there, to raise up a work. And I'm going to have people in the, now listen, that information came 2 weeks later after I sold the house, sold the car, quit the job, told everybody bye. See what Abraham was doing? See the in between? But when you know Spirit, and like last week, you have destiny over comfort, I promise you, by the Spirit of God, you will land on your feet. It may not look like it. It may not feel like it. But you will, I'm a witness, land on your feet when he moves and you move just like that. Share this, share this. So real acts of faith are really what we call teachable moments for us. Because on one level, what they really do is display our spiritual or our level of spiritual growth and development. The in between the declaration, it's the in between. That's why it says program for the promise. Program for the promise, because when you come, remember, you forget in those 9 months. You got to be reprogrammed for destiny now, because most of us weren't raised programmed for destiny. We were raised for comfort and security, good job, get a good education to secure a good job, get a good family to secure good love, et cetera, et cetera. So when I wake up, I understand I've been programmed for security, which is fine. Everybody want to be secure. But remember, destiny versus comfort. And most of the time, if you're reaching for destiny, it's going to pull you out of a lot of secure places, and you will find yourself living a lot of times in that in-between season, which that in-between is character building. In-between season is a teachable moment because it displays our level of spirituality. And the more in-between seasons I survive, the more my faith grows and the more I spiritually grow. That's how that thing works. So when I do get to what's been promised to me, I can handle the giants. I can handle all of the things that face me, because no land, no destiny is just simply occupied with everything the Spirit promised you. There are some giants that have to be dealt with. And I don't know why we ain't taught that. We just thought we land up in destiny like Alice in Wonderland. No, that's why I'm reading in Exodus. It's the prototype. That Old Testament is tight. I got some issues with the new. And I taught that in my Patreon. When you look at how it evolved, but anyway, I ain't going into that right now. But that old, that's the prototype. That's the prototype. And I didn't say everything in the new was false. I'm saying when you look at its original and who translated it and why they put certain things in the translation. I go to my Patreon to get that. I did 2 series on that. But anyway, you can find a link to that on our website. But anyway, the more you survive the in-between, the more spiritual developed you and I become. The more we avoid the in-between, we become like Israel. We become stagnant and go around the mountain. And instead of developing faith to take big leaps, develop fear. Like you're on a roller coaster, that kind of fear, I'm holding on for dear life. And we become paralyzed, and people live and die in the richest place on the planet is the graveyard. Like this. The in-between, it's the in-between. I'm almost finished for tonight. Share. And I want to say thank you for those of you who came in live. Thank you. Thank you. It's the in-between, the declaration that the deprogramming begins and the reprogramming is launched. One of the things that happens on my way to Kalamazoo, I am deprogrammed from the East Coast, the DMV, the ATL. I am deprogrammed while I'm riding there. And now I am reprogramming my life, my mind, my thoughts, my beliefs to exist in a new place, Kalamazoo. That's one of the importance of the in-between. In the wilderness. See, share this, y'all. What do I mean? What do I mean? Let me back and redirect this. I'm feeling, I think you're getting it. I don't want to be too wordy on this. Everything about our existence started wrong. Or I won't say wrong, misaligned when it comes to our soul's purpose. And I think I explained that. We weren't raised to realign our life from children with destiny. We were raised for comfort, convenience, and security. And that's one of the reasons why this becoming realigned is so difficult. Because when you talk about being realigned to destiny, it's not a doing. It's a being issue. See, again, that's another place to be deprogrammed. We've been programmed. It's about doing. It's about getting a good job. It's about getting an education, about getting this person, about getting this accolade. Destiny ain't about none of that. It's about being. Because you can do. But if you don't understand being, who are you? Bottom line, self-awareness, you still ain't going to destiny. You'll get stuff, you'll get accolades, you'll get promotions, but you'll never, ever, ever get in that in-between season to go to destiny because you ain't want to trying to give up on all that stuff doing got you. I ain't knocking the stuff you got through doing. I'm just saying, because sometimes you're going to have to sell the house, I'm just needing to move to Kalamazoo. That don't mean you ain't going to get another one. It's just going to mean you're going to have to let that one go. And that ain't where most people are, especially if they have done a lot. It is work. I am. Yeah, you did a lot. But being like this, share this. See, and I'll close on this. I'll pick it up next week. Ultimately, it wasn't the giants when it came to Israel occupying the land. It wasn't Pharaoh blocking them. It wasn't the water between them that kept them from being realigned with the original promise of Canaan. Now, now I want you to understand this. Y'all got to follow me tonight. It manifested in those things. Their doing created those as barriers. But the real culprit was their prior conditioning. Thus is why they were never to go straight from bondage into the promise. The in-between, aka the wilderness, was the place where they would be programmed for the promise. You see how it's coming together now? The wilderness is the place where we, if you want to call it wilderness, I call it the in-between, where we are reprogrammed, deprogrammed from Egypt, because they took a lot of Egyptian, and they never got, to be honest with you, they never, only two, whatever, out of all the millions. And that's figurative. That's how it is in real life. Only two, Caleb and Joshua, were ever totally reprogrammed for Canaan. Share this, y'all. Share this. Only two. That's why we never go from where we are into destiny. The stretch of road from the East Coast to Kalamazoo, the in-between, again, is the place where I am reprogrammed from what used to be, how things used to be, how I used to operate. And I have time to reprogram that I'm going to a new place. I'm going to experience some new things. I'm going to meet some new people. I'm going to have to develop some new habits. I'm going to have to let some old habits go. I got to develop some new belief systems. And you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And when you survive, I survive that in between. That's the step that leads us to great opportunity. Great leap of faith. Back up and go when I didn't know where I was going. But I knew spirit bid me. Woo. All right. Woo. I'm going to stop right there. Like this. Hear this. Follow this. In between was necessary for their purpose of psychological reprogramming. I'm going to pick up on this. I did not finish this week, but I think you got enough. So if you say, D. Foster 3, I'm headed towards destiny, then when we have a conversation, if we had a conversation, you ought to be able to share with me about that in-between season. Talk, how did it feel? What was it like? And I'm not just talking about the dark night of the soul. I'm talking about that literal in-between season in your manifested physical life, when you lived in that blind spot. But it wasn't a blind spot. It was a faith spot. It was just blind to the natural eyes, but not blind to the spiritual eyes. That's how you know you're headed towards destiny. When I'm being programmed for the promise. Because I'm not programmed for the promise automatically. And hearing about destiny and what my destiny is and all that, man, I don't program you for the promise. It's the in-between When you take the leap of faith to leave, and I didn't get into that tonight, but that's what I want to talk about. Israel, they got so comfortable, they didn't even want to leave. That's why Moses had such a hard time with them in the wilderness. He wasn't trying to hear it. They had labeled slaves, not knowing they were heirs to promise. They were programmed. Anyway, I'll get into that next week. Like this, share this. Spirit, we thank you for touching the mind, the heart, and the need of every viewer, whether through replay or live. I speak life. I speak courage. I speak boldness. And I speak truth and strength. When you say go, we go. Reprogram us that we do not need a full, laid out, detailed map of every stop, every turn. But as we go on to know, we will know. Somebody tonight is in that journey. Somebody looking at the replay is in that journey. And circumstances are trying to create confusion in your mind, telling you that you're going to fail. I bring down those words, those thoughts, and I replace them with words and thoughts that as you continue to follow the Spirit, you will safely, divinely, protectively arrive at your destiny. And your ladder, speaking to you, will be greater than your former because you dared to trust the Spirit of God with. I speak it. Rest in peace. All right, as I say each and every week, thank you so much. Don't forget to share this. Those of you that are looking at the replay, thank you for joining in. Subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, go to our website, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com. And as always, we encourage you. I want to thank those of you who have done. There's no gift. If you're eating, if you're being fed, if you're growing, if you're learning, if you're hearing through this vessel, through this mechanism, Life Alive, I encourage you to plant a seed into good ground. The information is on the screen. We want to say thank you. No amount is too small. Whatever the Spirit puts on your heart, we receive it, and we decree and declare a 100-fold return in your life in whatever area you need it. Until next week, I want you to go to all of our social media platforms. I want you to look at Voice of Hope Connection, the Voice Over Net podcast. Until next week, I sincerely appreciate you. I'm D. Foster 3, saying, just follow the Spirit, and you will always land